2016 is here. I'm really, really excited to be here talking with everyone. It is one of my New Year resolutions to start a podcast talking about career growth and how to land a better job. I've been procrastinating, pushing this aside for couple of months now, so I'm extremely excited to be able to fulfill my own New Year resolutions. But before I begin, I would like to take some time to talk about myself, especially this is the very first episode. I am a full-time headhunter. I work with different companies, help them fill very, very specific positions. The key word here is very specific. So a lot of times when candidates, knowing that I'm a headhunter, they reach out to me asking me to find jobs for them. And in most cases, I just can't because I spend most of my time headhunting for companies for very specific positions. So I would like to utilize my experience as a headhunter. How do I find people online? What kind of qualities I look for? How not just what I look for online, but also when I talk with them on the phone, when I set them up for in-person interviews, when I meet with them, when hiring managers meet with them, what are some of the attributes that really make someone stand out as a candidate? Um, so I'm going to be spending my podcast time to talk about that. Now, in my very first episode, since this is the beginning of the year, would like to talk about how to start your 2016 right, especially when it comes to building your career. There are many, many things to talk about, but for simplicity's sake, I will only focus on five things for now. Number one, write down in bullet points what you want to see happen with your career this year. Do you want to make more money? Do you want to have a promotion? Do you want to just change job? Or do you want to start a new business or practice? What do you want to see happen for yourself in your career this year? Second, now decide if those goals are achievable given where you're at and figure out what you need to do to get there. Let's say you want to change job. Is that a goal that's achievable given where you're at? Well, let me set up a scenario then. Let's say you have been at your current company for 7 years and you just really want to see what's out there. Now, let's see if that goal is achievable for you. Changing job is not hard at all, but what if, just imagine you're a salesperson, and you're the breadwinner for your family. You know your product pitch, you know how to sell your product, have a very stable territory. If you're the breadwinner for the family, is that a wise decision to change job now? Um, or do you have heavy financial obligations? You'll have to figure out if that's something you can sort out between you and your family. Can you take a pay cut? Who needs to make what kind of sacrifices in order for this job change to happen? Now, what about a promotion? I spoke with a candidate fairly recently, and he told me that he's in an MBA program right now because he really wants to be a manager or director someday. But when he looks at his company, it took his boss 10 years to be promoted to a manager. He doesn't want to take 10 years to get a promotion. Now, does that describe your situation? If that's the case, what do you need to do to make your goal come true? Write all of that down, just do some kind of deep thinking. Number three, jot down what you need to do to make those goals a reality. Now, using a very similar scenario as the one I just talked about, someone, taking 10 years to get a promotion, just use that example for now. What if you're stuck being a senior manager? You keep applying for a director level job because you're just tired and sick of spending 7, 8 years as a senior manager. How is that going to make you look on a resume, right? But you keep applying for a director level job and you keep getting turned down because you don't have director level experience. In that case, what should you do? Um, well, I would suggest you, first of all, write that in that list of things you want to write down talking with your manager. you're not going to just voice your desire to be promoted, because although you definitely should, but adding to that, you ask your manager how you can be promoted, such as what strategic projects you can take on, what will you need to work on personally so you can achieve those goals, or maybe interpersonally so you can achieve that next step in your career. So maybe that's one of the things you want to do. Or maybe, after sitting down, you realize that is not a reality. That's just not going to happen for you, because your boss is also waiting for similar promotions, but the VP doesn't, is not giving people promotions in general. That will be something else you have to figure out. But write down a list of things you need to do to make it happen. Maybe, talking with a manager, writing down the specific pitch, or maybe start talking with other recruiters, or maybe start applying for jobs. Write down all of those things. Number four, allow yourself time to learn. This can mean many, many things, right? If you want to land a different job, but you haven't had to interview for 6 years, of course you're going to be rusty. Or if you just started your fourth senior manager job, the likelihood of you getting promoted right now is going to be pretty slim, I would say. Um, so give yourself a little bit of time to learn. If with interviews, if that means just give yourself 30 days, apply to as many jobs as possible, talk to as many recruiters as you can. Just give yourself some time, or maybe give yourself 5 interviews, to just not do well in. Just give yourself some time and give yourself a specific number. The same with you just landing a new job, and you already wanted to get a better job out there. Give yourself some time. Maybe you stick it through for 6 months, 9 months, see what the landscape looks like, what sort of strategic initiatives you can work on within your company. Again, that can mean many, many things, right? What if you are just beginning to take side clients, and you're learning how to moonlight, how to organize yourself, how to negotiate, all of those things. Allow yourself some time, give yourself a specific set of time when you're going to make as many mistakes, and then after that, no more. You buckle down and be serious about your 2016 goals. Last but not least, figure out what's outside of your bubble. When I say bubble, I'm talking about your usual circle. By now, you should have already have your regular routines, such as going to work, you hang out with your coworkers, you hang out with your friends, your family. And I don't know about you, when I hang out with my friends, or even sometimes my coworkers, I talk in generality about my work. I don't really go into specifics. I don't talk about what's going on in the recruitment industry, which companies laying off people, which companies hiring, which industry is hot. Like, I just don't talk that much in depth about work. I'm just trying to have fun, So for me, stepping out of my bubble will mean attending industry and non-industry events, really putting myself out there. It is about me reading up on what's happening in my peripheral industries or professional circles. That will be stepping out of my bubble for me. What is that going to look like for you? It's always wise to look at yourself a little bit objectively against what's happening out there, so you're aware of what you need to work on yourself, whether it be professionally, getting certifications, or maybe even interpersonally, what other things do you need to work on? So, those are my 5 tips I'd like to leave with you today. And thank you so much for your time listening to my podcast. Now, since this is my very first podcast, I'm sure I have a lot of things I need to work on, whether it be the way I talk too fast, some of the points, it just seems so rich. Should I have just taken out one of my points and make it into an actual podcast? Like, whatever it is, I would love to get some feedback from you. You can email me. You can email all of your feedback to me at helen@interviewrightconsulting.com. Again, it's Helen, Helen, at interviewright consulting, as in the right, it's Right. You can also find that in my show note as well. Thank you so much for your time, and until our next podcast, which is 2 weeks from now, Have a great rest of the fortnight.